I'm Katie Couric. Fears of another 9/11 as a small plane slams into a high-rise building in New York City and U.S. military aircraft take to the skies in response. But the story takes a strange turn. New York Yankee pitcher Corey Lidle is flying the plane. President Bush says he is committed to a diplomatic solution with North Korea, but he is leaving all options open. We'll take you to the front lines in the war on cancer. Will targeted therapies make chemotherapy a thing of the past? And rediscovering some long-lost memories, a look at a very unusual diary kept under wraps for years.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. It was mid-afternoon here in New York when the first word came an aircraft had slammed into a high-rise building. Soon, pictures of flames shooting from windows flashed on TV screens across the country, and the same thought flashed through everyone's mind. Was it another terror attack, another 9/11? The U.S. military went into action, but soon it became clear it was an accident. A small plane somehow crashed into the building. Then another shock. The plane was apparently being flown by a New York Yankee on a sightseeing trip. We begin tonight with national correspondent Byron Pitts, who is on the scene. Byron?
Well, Katie, we have two confirmed dead, the pilot and his passenger. No one on the ground was killed. This all happened at about 2:45 this afternoon. And because of those similarities to September 11th, it sent this part of New York into a panic.
It seemed like he was making a steep turn, like he was out of control.
It was just an immense, fire shooting out the side of the building.
You see this big red ball of flame flying, shooting out of the window, onto the ground, and everybody's running.
Marla Kaufman was one of the hundreds of witnesses. Seconds after the crash, she says, she had a flashback. New York City, 5 years ago.
And then you think terrorists.
You think 9/11?
9/11 right away, and it was very scary.
It was the frightening similarities to September 11th that temporarily sent the Upper East Side of Manhattan into a panic. An aircraft had crashed into a high-rise building. The single-engined four-seater Cirrus 20 aircraft was flying north over the East River when eyewitnesses say it made a sudden, hard turn and slammed high up into a 50-story condominium.
I'm on the 32nd floor and a plane was coming west, and I saw him lose altitude and the right wing dipped, and I said to the person I was on the phone with, why is this plane doing acrobatics in the middle of New York City?
Among the dead, New York Yankee pitcher Corey Lidle. It was his plane. Lidle had just earned his pilot's license about a year ago. Quickly on the scene, New York police, fire, and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. And soon all suspicions of terrorism were ruled out by authorities.
There is nothing to suggest that anything remotely like terrorism was involved in this.
Authorities believe Lidle, a novice pilot, was at the controls, his flight instructor at his side. It's believed the two were on a sightseeing trip. They just circled the Statue of Liberty twice. They were headed back to the airport in New Jersey when the accident happened.
Byron, what about Corey Lidle's family?
Well, Katie, Corey Lidle leaves behind her wife, Melanie, and their boy, Christopher. He turned 6 years old 3 weeks ago.
All right, Byron Pitts. Thank you, Byron. Before officials determined that this crash was an accident, not an act of terror, the federal response was swift and massive. Bob Orr has that part of the story.
Within minutes of the small plane hitting the New York high-rise, fighter jets took off around the country to begin flying protective patrols over U.S. cities. Sources say fighters, refueling tankers, and early warning aircraft began patrolling the skies over 8 American cities. Along the East Coast, New York, Washington, Boston, and Miami. Fighters were also scrambled over Chicago, Dallas, and on the West Coast over Seattle and Los Angeles. Federal officials stressed the flights were not a response to any threat, but rather a proactive reaction, born out of the criticisms of the slow response that followed the attack on America. But even while officials are certain this was an accident, investigators may have a hard time explaining how the crash happened. Even after 9/11, the FAA permits small planes and helicopters to fly along both the Hudson and East Rivers in New York, as long as pilots remain at or below 1,100 feet. They do not need to stay in touch with air traffic controllers, but the pilots are responsible for judging the weather and watching out for other aircraft, tall towers, and buildings. Investigators looking at radar data now suspect Lido's plane hit the building when he was trying to turn around over the East River to avoid LaGuardia Airport. That might be hard to confirm in the end since the aircraft had no black boxes. Ironically, though, the plane was equipped with a parachute to be used in case of an engine failure. The parachute was not used today. Katie?
Bob, we're in Washington tonight. By the way, a plane accidentally hitting a high-rise building is very rare. The most notable was the crash of an Army B-25 bomber into the Empire State Building on a foggy morning back in 1945. 3 people aboard that plane and 11 in the building were killed. In other news tonight, the Iraq War and the showdown with North Korea dominated a White House news conference today. President Bush called on the UN Security Council to hit North Korea with new sanctions in response to its reported nuclear test. A draft resolution comes out tomorrow. Here's White House correspondent Jim Axelrod.
President Bush said North Korea will be confronted diplomatically and peacefully, but not by the U.S. alone.
Bilateral negotiations didn't work. You know, I appreciate the efforts of previous administrations. It just didn't work.
Since the detonation Monday, Democratic critics have blamed Mr. Bush for abandoning one-on-one talks with the North Koreans. Today, the president hit back.
I can remember the time when it was said that the Bush administration goes it alone too often in the world. And now all of a sudden people are saying, you know, the Bush administration ought to be going alone with North Korea, but it didn't work in the past, is my point.
Less than 4 weeks before Election Day, Mr. Bush came to the Rose Garden ready to push back on issues where he and Republicans have been hit hard, from North Korea to the congressional page scandal to Iraq. On that front, the president faces criticism from prominent Republicans like John Warner and James Baker, who now say Iraq's strategy may have to change. Today, the president sounded surprisingly open to the idea.
Senator Warner said, if the plan isn't working, adjust. I agree completely. Say the course means keep doing what you're doing. My attitude is don't do what you're doing if it's not working. Change.
If Mr. Bush's campaign message has been drowned out lately, his confidence remains high. Despite polls suggesting otherwise, he still says Republicans will hold the House and the Senate when the voters cast their ballots.
I think the elections will be decided by security and the economy.
The problem for the president with that line of thinking, as we've been reporting, if you buy the polls, Americans now trust Democrats more to handle both the economy and the war in Iraq. Katie?
All right, Jim Axelrod at the White House, thank you. The president called his news conference 4 years to the day after Congress voted to authorize sending troops to Iraq. Today, the Army Chief of Staff announced that plans have been drawn up to keep current troop levels in Iraq through 2010. And now we're learning that the war has been a lot more deadly than we knew. Here's David Martin.
A new and stunning measure of the havoc the American invasion unleashed in Iraq. A study published in the British journal Lancet estimates 655,000 Iraqis, 2.5% of the entire population, have died as a consequence of the war.
It shows that, to us, that violence is widespread in the country and that this is a major risk to people in Iraq now.
To understand how large, consider this. The same percentage of the much larger American population would be 7.5 million dead. President Bush rejected the study's conclusions.
No, I don't consider it a credible report. Neither does General Casey, and neither do Iraqi officials.
Casey, the American commander in Iraq, met with the president just before that press conference and later provided a much lower number.
That 650,000 number seems way, way beyond any number that I have seen. I've not seen a number higher than 50,000.
But there's one fact Casey does not dispute.
We shouldn't try to sugarcoat this. The levels of violence over the last few weeks are as high as they have been.
Still, Casey seemed to rule out any major changes in strategy. And when Secretary Rumsfeld was asked if he bore responsibility for what's gone wrong in Iraq, he gave this testy response.
Why do we have to keep going through this? Of course I bear responsibility, my lord. I'm Secretary of Defense. Write it down. Quote it. You can bank it.
Military planners here in the Pentagon are, in fact, conducting a review of Iraq's strategy. One senior officer tells CBS News it will stop short of establishing a timetable for withdrawing troops. but will recommend setting target dates for turning responsibility over to the Iraqis. Katie?
David Martin. Thank you, David. For the first time since World War II, an American has been charged with treason punishable by the death penalty. He is Adam Gaddan, who's appeared in several al-Qaeda videos as Azam the American, praising the 9/11 hijackers and calling for a jihad against the U.S. Gaddan is 28 and grew up in California. He's believed to be in Pakistan, and there is a $1 million reward for his capture. There's much more news on our website. You can find it at cbsnews.com. Coming up next, our special series, Breaking the Cancer Code, the new wave in cancer treatment, destroying the disease without poisoning the patient.
What are you doing?
Getting ready for my test.
What subject?
Cholesterol.
Are you nervous?
Well, last time I didn't do so great, but I'm getting extra help.
Cheerios, proven to lower cholesterol about 4% in 6 weeks. How much can you lower yours?
Serenity stretched their imagination and created protective underwear that hugs your body. For a snug fit that provides secure protection. Serenity by Tenna. The protection you trust, now in underwear.
Good Campbell's casserole, possibilities. She's got it together, knows how to treat them right. Just mix it and bake it. There's gonna be a casserole tonight. A home-cooked meal you make it with Campbell soup, chicken, rice, and cheese. Straight from the oven, bring them together, it's sure to please. Good Campbell's cheesy chicken and rice casserole, possibilities.
There are so many aches and pains that keep you from getting a full night's sleep. But starting tonight, there's a new PM that has them covered. Introducing new Advil PM, the first and only PM with Advil. Now get multi-pain relieving power plus a non-habit-forming sleep aid to gently ease you to sleep. Nothing's proven better on tough nighttime pain. When aches and pains keep you up, there's new Advil PM. Stop hurting and start sleeping.
I have high blood pressure, but I was surprised to find out it might lead to erectile dysfunction.
You think you know everything about diabetes, but no one ever told me it could lead to ED.
So I talked to my doctor. He said that certain health conditions like high blood pressure
or diabetes may lead to ED,
and that Levitra can help.
Doctors know Levitra works for men with ED, even those with high blood pressure or diabetes. Levitra is only for men healthy enough for sexual activity. If you have heart problems or are on alpha blocker therapy, talk to your doctor before taking Levitra. Do not take Levitra if you take nitrates for chest pains, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing and stuffy or runny nose. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience an erection lasting longer than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Levitra and call your doctor right away.
Talking to my doctor took a lot off my mind.
You should talk to your doctor about Levitra.
The more you know about ED, the more you'll want to know about Levitra.
The New England Journal of Medicine reports today that nearly 3/4 of those who beat childhood cancers go on to suffer major health problems as adults because of damage to their organs by the harsh treatments for the disease. But a new approach can avoid that collateral damage by targeting only the cancer cells and leaving the rest of the body alone. Dr. John LaPook has the first of our two-part series, Breaking the Cancer Code.
For 30 years, Dr. Bert Vogelstein of Johns Hopkins has been trying to unlock the secrets of cancer.
It was a total mystery, a black box. It was like some plague from outer space.
But revolutionary research is discovering how cancer cells work, what they're made of, how they behave, and the genetic mutations that cause them. That's giving scientists new targets so that rather than blasting the whole body with chemotherapy and radiation, smart drugs are being developed that strike just the cancer, without poisoning the patient.
We know that simple changes in the bases, in the building blocks of DNA, are what's responsible for cancer.
Those simple changes, or mutations, cause cancer cells to grow uncontrollably. But new drugs can stop the process in some cancers. Herceptin is a drug that targets proteins on the surface of the cell. Gleevec works inside the cell to block cancer's growth. And Avastin shuts down the blood vessels that feed the tumor. literally starving it to death. These are all called targeted therapies. Stephanie Grimes was diagnosed with an advanced form of breast cancer.
I looked at it as, let's attack this. It's aggressive.
Doctors at the Johnson Cancer Center at UCLA recommended she try an experimental combination of Herceptin and Avastin without chemotherapy. This approach is highly experimental and not for everyone. But Stephanie's response was dramatic.
Show me what you got. Literally, it was going away.
There's still some disease that we see, but in a short period of time, it continues to get less and less.
It's a miracle. You know, it's amazing how well the drugs worked.
Gleevec is also a superstar in the world of targeted therapies.
Some nice deep breaths for me, please.
George Darr started taking Gleevec 6 years ago when he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia called CML. In just 2 weeks, his blood count became normal.
Suddenly just enormous amounts of energy.
Recently, George's leukemia began to outsmart Gleevec. Luckily, there was a new medication for him called Sprycel.
Fortunately, these new drugs have come along that are able to work on these new mutations.
In the lab, Dr. Vogelstein and his team have been hard at work to find more mutations to target. Just recently, he discovered a surprising number in colon and breast cancer.
We expected to find 10 alterations or so in a cancer, in each cancer.
And how many did you find?
We found about 100.
And those discoveries could pave the way for the development of other cancer drugs that destroy the dangerous runaway cells without destroying the patient's quality of life.
5, 6, figure 8.
Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And tomorrow we'll show you another major advance, how supercomputers are deciphering the mystery of cancer and ushering in a new era of virtual treatments. Meanwhile, coming up next on the CBS Evening News, Bob Schieffer with Free Speech.
I'm Montel Williams. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance is traveling to all 50 states, making stops to help people pay for their medicine.
I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't able to afford my medications, and PPA gave me back my life.
This past year, America's pharmaceutical companies gave away more than $5 billion worth of medicines to people in need.
It has been a lifesaver for me in more ways than one.
If you need help, just call 1-888-4PPA now. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance, on the road to helping you.
For people with diabetes, testing with Freestyle is virtually pain-free. Freestyle uses the world's smallest blood sample size. Less blood means less pain. Virtually pain-free testing means happy fingers. Ask your healthcare professional about Freestyle blood glucose monitors.
Cholesterol. It can come from fettuccine Alfredo, but also from your grandpa Alfredo, from barbecue ribs, and from your grandma Barbie. A healthy diet is important. When that's not enough, adding Vytorin can help. Cholesterol comes from 2 sources, food and family. Vytorin treats 2 sources. Only Vytorin helps block the absorption of cholesterol from food and reduces the cholesterol your body makes naturally based on family history. Vytorin was also proven in clinical studies to lower bad cholesterol more than Lipitor alone. Vytorin is not for everyone, including people with liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Unexplained muscle pain or weakness could be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Vytorin may interact with other medicines or certain foods, increasing your risk of getting this serious side effect. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. So eat right, stay active. But if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Vytorin. 2 sources of cholesterol. Treat them both with Vytorin.
As a state legislator, Ron Klein voted to let some criminals convicted of up to 4 felonies receive probation, not prison. And Klein was able to cut funding for emergency operation centers just before a hurricane season. And Ron Klein's reported net worth increased by over $1 million in the year he was a state senator and a registered lobbyist. Ron Klein. Who does he really represent? The National Republican Congressional Committee paid for and is responsible for the content of this message.
As many of you know, our free speech segment features opinions on a broad range of topics from a wide variety of voices. And once a week, we get the perspective of our chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer. Tonight, Bob has some thoughts about the president and the war.
At his news conference today, the president put it in the starkest terms. He said the stakes in Iraq could not be higher. He said, if we leave before the job is done, the enemy is coming after us. That's about the hardest sell he could make, but whether he is right or wrong, it is going to take a hard sell, because most Americans simply do not agree. More than anything, today's news conference underlined the serious political problem that Iraq has become for Republicans as they go into the fall elections. The CBS News poll out this week showed a majority of Americans now believe we should not have gone to Iraq, that we should reduce troop levels or pull our troops out, and that if we pulled out all our troops, the terrorist threat would not be affected one way or the other. When President Johnson became bogged down in Vietnam and the military urged him to send in more troops, he turned to outside advisors, the wise men of the foreign policy establishment, trusted friends who were not afraid to tell him the truth. It is time for this president to do the same. His advisors are good people, but the policy just is not working. For sure, that's what a majority of Americans has concluded. The president needs new eyes to look at all this and some new ideas. He knows what the people who work for him think. He needs to talk to some people who don't work for him.
The casualties of the Iraq War include 3 of our CBS News colleagues. This past Memorial Day, a roadside bomb wounded correspondent Kimberly Dozier. She continues to recover and is doing really well. But cameraman Paul Douglas and soundman James Brolin, both of them Brits, were killed.
How long is a man's life, finally?
Today, family, friends, and colleagues gathered in London to remember them in a Fleet Street church that's been the scene over the years of many a memorial service for journalists who died in the line of duty. Paul and James were remembered for their heroism and willingness to risk their lives for the truth.
Paul spent his luck, not carelessly, but he spent it in war zones for the best of reasons. He wanted to shed the light of his camera into those dark places.
Paul Douglas, James Brolin, may they rest in peace.
If you fancy something sugar-free, red raspberry can be elegant, orange cheerful, and strawberry comfy. With Smucker's Sugar-Free, the finest fruit picked at the peak of perfection. A harvest of sugar-free sweet goodness for the many moods of you. So what are you in the mood for? For over 100 years, with a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
All of us have internal plumbing. But for some of us with frequent bladder urges, doing errands also means knowing where all the bathrooms are along the way. The worry your pipes might leak means you don't always detour from your route. But you can take another direction. Talk to your doctor about how to take care with Vesicare. Vesicare, once a day, can reduce urges and may help effectively manage bladder leakage, day and night. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Vesicare. While taking Vesicare, if you experience a serious allergic reaction, severe abdominal pain, or become constipated for 3 or more days, tell your doctor right away. Common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, blurred vision, and indigestion. A chance to follow a whim, not always your urges. It's not just a pipe dream. Ask your doctor today if Vesicare is right for you.
Introducing the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Refreshed, rejuvenated, and a welcome respite from the everyday.
You've waited, you've dreamed, and now it's finally back. endless shrimp at Red Lobster. The only time of year to enjoy all the irresistible shrimp you can eat. Don't miss endless shrimp right now, only at Red Lobster.
Introducing Men's Rogaine Foam, the first and only foam that regrows hair. Easy to use, dries quickly. It could be the fastest part of your routine. New Men's Rogaine Foam. Use it or lose it.
Tomorrow, get the latest on North Korea's claims of nuclear testing, what will happen overnight. Plus, more fallout from the Capitol Hill page scandal tomorrow on The Early Show.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when.
A lot of time went by before a treasure trove of history was discovered in a dresser drawer in Connecticut. Nearly 6 decades, in fact. Here's Richard Schlesinger.
World War II must have seemed like ancient history before Caitlin Bitsko, a suburban teenager, discovered her link to it through 2 generations and a drawer full of secrets.
There's a lot of papers here. I don't know how he carried her around and how he kept all of them.
Those are cigarette packs dropped in Red Cross packages over a POW camp in Germany, where one of the prisoners turned them inside out, flattened them, and used them to keep a secret diary.
They're 60 years old and still legible.
Such a strange medium.
Yes, very. Cigarette packages.
That prisoner was Edward Bitsko, Caitlin's grandfather. Bitsko's bomber was shot down over Vienna in 1944, and he started writing.
I put my hand to my face at the same time, squeezing the mic, telling him I'm hit. The blood rushed down my elbow.
Describing everything.
It went into a dive. I was knocked flat on my back.
Bitsko wrote on those cigarette packs for more than a year. He kept writing as he was forced to keep marching away from the advancing Allies.
My feet were so raw, I thought I'd never make another kilo.
The diary ended when the war ended, as Edward Bitsko waited to be liberated, cowering under artillery fire.
We listened and watched the barn shake all the time.
Bitsko wrote everything down, but rarely talked about his war years.
This is where
and kept the diaries hidden from his wife, Elsie. The family knew about the diaries, but only Caitlin's father had read them. Elsie Bitsko never did, even though she knew her husband was still haunted.
Sometimes, he'd sleep and then he would wake up and be hollering. Different things.
Bitsko died before Caitlin was born, and she only learned about the diaries from her father when she started work on a family history project for school. Her grandmother parted with the diaries reluctantly, and Caitlin started reading. Was that weird for you?
Kind of. It's unreal, in a way.
It was even a little uncomfortable.
So, in a way, I feel nosy going through this stuff.
Caitlin's classmates read the diaries, but to this day, her grandmother has not, and she's not sure she wants to. Part of you must want to know what happened to him.
Well, yes, no. Let's say you keep your good memories.
Her husband's memories belong to history now, and it's okay by Elsie Bitsko if everyone reads the memoirs. Everyone but her. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Stratford, Connecticut.
That's the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you will too. Good night.
CBS News. See it now, anytime, anywhere.
They say opportunity knocks just once, but at the JM Lexus sales event, you have over 1,000 opportunities to save. This is the entirely new redesigned ES350, sleek and beautiful and luxurious. I love this car, and so will you. The JM Lexus sales event, one opportunity you can't afford to miss. JM Lexus on Sample Road in Margate.
I'm Clay Shaw, and I approve this message.
Ron Klein explaining himself.
I've never lobbied the Florida legislature.
Wait a minute. Ron Klein is a registered lobbyist. Newspapers check government documents. Klein has used his political position to lobby local politicians. Here's his lobbying law firm steps away from the Capitol. Klein sold influence to developers, insurers, government contractors. They made money. Ron Klein made money. Ron Klein, there's no denying, he's a lobbyist.